Welcome to Pretty Vain Radio, where we talk about everything fabulous in beauty and fashion. We give out expensive advice for free. This is Sequoia. I'm here with my co-host, Chanel.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk all about fashion shows. There have been some amazing ones in the Seattle area, and Chanel just hosted hers for her new Malibu doll swimwear collection, so can't wait to talk about that. And we have the fabulous Joan Kelly with us today, expert.
Ooh.
Welcome, Joan. Absolute expert on fashion shows. She's been hosting Fashion First and doing that for years. 9 years.
9 years coming up.
And we're going to talk a little bit about behind the scenes stuff too. I've done the makeup for Chanel's and several others. And then we have Helen here from Winzo Salon. Welcome, Helen.
Hello, hello.
She's going to talk to us about doing hair behind the scenes and personal styling independently for her clients. So let's get started with our rants and raves. Chanel, what do you have to talk about?
All right, so it was Metropolitan Fashion Week. I believe it
Yes.
was their first one. I know you went. I didn't have the chance to go because of the Malibu doll show, but tell me what you liked. Tell me what you didn't.
Well, I went to the closing gala, so I didn't go to any of the previous ones. I think it was a week long. I know they had several events. I went to the closing gala at the Museum of Flight.
Right.
Yes. And they did a beautiful job. It was a fabulous location. I've never been to an event there before, so I was very impressed with that. I thought it was very unique and cool. And the models were great. The clothing that they showed were all, I thought, unique designs. I had good things and bad things to say about everything, which I think is the point of a good
Right.
fashion show. However, I felt like for a fashion show and not a sit-down like charity or a function, it was too long to be in fashion show style seating.
That seems to happen a lot in Seattle, where the show takes too long to get started, where I maybe had that problem with my show. It ran 15 minutes late, and I know some people were getting a little bit antsy. But you sit there sometimes for an hour and you're just sitting in your chair. And especially when there's like a stuffier, like fancy fashion show and you don't have a bar like mine where I endorse drinking at its fullest, people start to, sit there and, they're like, okay, let's get this started. So, and then if it's too long and there's too much talking, it's a fashion show. It's a show.
Right.
It's not, when I go to one, the last thing I want to hear about and I heard through someone, I could be wrong, that said a lot of thank yous, like Grammy style and this and that. And so I think giving out the awards and that sort of thing should be done maybe in a different way, coming up with a creative way so that people aren't sitting there like looking at their clocks,
Yeah, I agree. The awards I felt like were a really good touch, and it was something I hadn't seen, but I do think that there is a different place for that, perhaps a different day. They could have the awards ceremony and sort of style that differently and have that also be sort of the thank you to the sponsors. Because I know, and Joan will probably tell us this, sponsors are everything for fashion shows. I mean, they're so important, and everybody is
they make it
very thankful
for them. They make it what it is.
Yeah.
Without them, the show wouldn't go on. I can't thank my sponsors enough.
Right.
For, like the people send the swag bags, they're beautiful.
Right.
And, everything that they offered and put together, and everyone is special at something. They are the true reason. I wish there's like a way to almost get them more spotlight than you can already do, but
I think there could be, though. Doing it in like some kind of creative way, brainstorming something where you can give them way more attention, but that the crowd is kind of knows what they're sitting there for. They're sitting there for the fashion show, and then they're going to do this part of it or this. It's some way to mix it up so that you aren't just sitting there and cranking your neck. That was the other thing, too, the way it was seated. There was tons of seats, which was great. Everybody wants front row at a fashion show, but we couldn't see a lot of it, so we were always turning our necks. It was hard to see exactly who was getting what or being thanked, and so I guess that would be another thing, is that it was just a little bit hard to understand the flow.
Any particular designers that stood out in your mind?
Well, I am a huge fan of Olga at La Belle Rev.
Okay.
And her personal stuff.
And they had their girls' night out, I think, last night at the Bravern.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
I didn't get a
I
chance
saw
to go
some
to
of
that.
their dresses. I didn't realize it was so formal. I've never been in, but I will go check it out.
Well, and I love that she does other things than just bridal. So I don't know, the specific items that were in there. Their program was a little hard to follow and read. I didn't think that they handled that exactly right. I had a hard time exactly following what designer I was watching and who did what. But I just saw her mannequins and some of her designs staged at the beginning of the show, which I loved. Yeah. And her stuff is so girly and feminine and fresh and just lovely. So I'm a huge fan, and she's a doll.
Did you see the Atacora swim show?
I did, yes.
Okay, so how was it?
Amazing.
Because I'm a huge fan of her too, and especially since we're both out of Seattle.
Okay, totally. And it was really, really unique designs, and her models wore it really well.
Okay.
They wore it really well, and it was styled to perfection. The music was fantastic. It fit the theme of being at the Museum of Flight. It was sort of... It reminded me a little bit of Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio. You know, that whole
I saw the pictures,
feel.
definitely. So Pan Am.
Yeah, Pan Am kind of style. And that's so popular right now with Mad Men and everything. So anyways, yeah, those were kind of my favorites. And then the things that I think that they could do better in the future. And hopefully, I mean, I love as many of these kinds of things as there can possibly be in Seattle because it's so fun to show local talent and to go and see it. And I wish that they would have a way for me to find it later. I felt like I left there with all these swag bags and all these programs and brochures, and I still have no idea how to find
I found that with
outfits.
mine too. I got so many messages and emails for Malibu Doll. They're like, where can we get them? When are they available? And I was like, how did I focus on everybody else and how to get their products? And then I'm showing my product and didn't even make it clear when it's coming out or anything.
It's so fired had she had been on The Apprentice.
Right? Yes, fired.
Yeah,
I would have fired myself.
That's right. Trump would have had something to say.
I mean, putting on shows, I've just started like for the last 2 years, and I think so much goes into them, and you can only do so much, and then as long as you learn from the last one and make it better, which that means I'm happy with my show because Barolo was beautiful, and then we've now moved on to, Hotel 1000. And so, we're going up, so that's a good sign.
Absolutely.
And I feel like with Met Fashion Week, I heard so many good things, especially from people that I really admire and take their opinion pretty seriously. And so, even though there was faults, no one's gonna be happy with everything. And that's something I need to realize because I take advice pretty harshly and take it to heart because it's my own piece of work,
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, but if you do get good advice, and we'll talk to Joan later about what her students, because they watched my show.
Oh, good.
If you do take advice and you get it, then your next show will be even better and people can't complain about what they didn't like.
I know. Joan, please make us all feel better and tell us that your very first Fashion First was you learned something from it.
Oh my God, I learn something every year.
Okay, good. 9 years later. Okay,
9 years later,
so you're saying we have a chance.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
We have a chance.
And after every show, I swear to God, well, the downturn, the aftermath of the whole thing has gotten a lot easier because there were years where it's like it took me a week to get out of bed. I didn't want to talk to anybody after a month, and then I start to resurface. But now I got it down. And this year, I have to be up and rolling because I know I'm sitting here with all these young ladies. But Crosby, Stills, and Nash will be playing at Chateau Saint Michel on Friday night, and I will be there with 2 lighters in my hand.
Oh my gosh!
So
I grew up on Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I love it.
Yeah, so I will be there.
Who are you guys talking about?
Oh, Chanel! It's so sad.
It's my favorite band ever.
I love it.
And Chateau Saint Michel, of course, is the sponsor for Fashion First.
Yeah, well, they have fabulous events too. I love going to the concerts there.
I don't care if it rains. I don't care if it snows. I'm there.
You're there.
So
well, they serve lots of wine. That's the first trip to any good fashion show.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it definitely is. And then we're also planning your fashion show for the relaunch of My Flawless Tan. So it'll be, what's the name?
Okay, we're changing our name to Flawless Beauty Bars.
Okay.
And we just finished the branding for that. Next is the logo, website, and then getting all of the print material done. So the goal is end of May, beginning of June.
To do the show
To do
Mirror.
a big fashion show and event at Mirror, which is the new part of Munch Bars.
It's by the owners,
section.
but it's a brand new ultra lounge. But there's going to be happy hour. It's going to be beautiful. We're really
sounds
excited.
like it.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So hopefully May it'll be up and rolling, and we're going to launch your brand first.
Yep.
So yeah, that's going to be so exciting.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I have a couple fashion questions before we move on to commercial. When is it okay to wear high heels? At what time of the day? I had this problem. Even this morning, I was like, am I allowed to wear high heels? Does it depend on the heel if it's spiky or chunky? What are you thinking?
Okay, well, I go to work usually at 9 or 10 in the morning in Kirkland, and I wear heels every single day.
So do I. But my dad said to me a couple weeks ago, I remember, he's like, isn't it a little early for those 6-inch heels? And I'm like, isn't it a little early for you to be talking to me? I'm like, come on. Jeez.
I love it, first of all, that your dad said it.
Well, he still asked me, and I'm 23. He's like, do you have a coat? It's cold outside. He's like, is that skirt a little short? I'm like, you're done. I'm like, goodbye.
I think it's appropriate any time of the day to wear heels. Honestly, I think that it's your own style. And I am so sick of wearing heels to go get my Starbucks. And everybody asks me where I'm going. I'm sorry, I'm going to work.
I'm sorry, I look fabulous, right? So it's okay?
Let's continue this after the break because I have to add to it.
Okay, I want to hear what you have to say. We're going to go to break. We'll be right back.
You think you know fashion? Well, fashion's